What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Quick week here, it seems like. Unfortunately, we are at the point in the sports calendar where there's really not much going on. We will cover some things that we've had happen out throughout the week here and some stuff going on to the weekend, but not much really to go on, but some exciting news to talk about here for this show's purpose coming up. This is your Sports Digest. I'm your host, Alex McNinch. Back at it with another episode. So yeah, we're kind of at this point in time in sports right now where, we are just getting to the second part of the MLB season. Summer League has gone on long enough to where people don't care anymore. Football is in the dead period right before training camps. Same with college football. There's not much traction going on. And we're just kind of in this period where it's like, all right, what's going to be on the game show network tonight to watch? That's kind of the point we're at the moment. But you can always find something to enjoy here in sports. And I definitely enjoyed some stuff over the past week in both basketball and baseball especially. We've got a new tournament coming up here pretty soon. There's some soccer going to be played here pretty soon as well. And some other exciting news. Let's get into quick hits right after a word from our sponsor. All right, number one, the MLB All-Star break that was. You can't really call it All-Star weekend anymore because they do it on a Monday and Tuesday. Normally they do it around the 4th of July. Now they've kind of pushed the date back a little bit, but nonetheless, it was a fun All-Star break. Started off with a futures game on Saturday or Sunday, which is all the prospects that get selected to go play at those. The celebrity softball game, which JoJo Siwa seems like she's like the 17-year vet of, because I swear on everything she's in every celebrity softball game ever played. So that was kind of cool, I guess, to watch of all the other guys, NBA players, former MLB guys, other celebrities and stuff like that. Macklemore shining for his hometown. And then obviously Monday and Tuesday, the Home Run Derby and All-Star Game. And I was pleasantly surprised with the fan turnout, or not fan turnout, but the fan reaction online to the Home Run Derby and to the All-Star Game. Obviously, the Home Run Derby is what everybody wants to watch. It's just a bunch of dudes socking homers. Unfortunately, like I told you guys last episode, we were at a ballpark that none of the balls were going to be flying like they have been in recent memory, especially with it being at Coors Field in Colorado a couple of years back where things were just flying out of the stadium. Unfortunately, we weren't going to see any of that kind of stuff. We weren't going to see any bombs. We were seeing a lot of line drive homers into the party deck right behind the wall in left field. Saw a lot of line drives in the left field, especially one murdering a child. If you don't know, just go look up a video. Vlad Jr. damn near murdered a kid on live TV during the Home Run Derby. It was awful, which that's a whole other issue with getting kids to catch 100-mile-per-hour line drives from big league players. I get it. It happens every single year. A kid gets hurt from some way, whether he snaps his own leg in half just running for a ball, or they get hit in the back of the head or straight in the face. That's a whole other issue we can get into, but the real issue is we're just playing at a stadium where you aren't going to hit many bombs. Like Carl Ravitch, by the way, I hate hating on people, but Carl Ravitch in this situation was not great. Same with Eduardo Perez. He just, like, every Puerto Rican or Dominican, every Hispanic player, he just wanted to tell the entire background story of them and stuff like that, which is cool to an extent, but it's like, just talk about what's going on. I don't need to know for the 750th time that Randy Arozarena and Adolis Garcia are like brothers. Like, I get it. I've seen the pictures. We've heard it on the broadcasts 50 times leading up to the Derby. You told us 100 times during the Derby. Even when both of them weren't even hitting, still had to talk about it. But that's just the ESPN motto, I guess. Hammer home things that nobody cares about. But it was an interesting one for the Derby. I still prefer the outs rules. So if you watch the Home Run Derby, you get 3 minutes to hit as many home runs as you can. You get one timeout. If you hit a bomb over 440 feet, you get an extra 30 seconds on top of a 30 seconds you get because of T-Mobile donating money to kids or whatever, good cause, something like that. So you get an extra 30 seconds if you hit two home runs over 440 feet, which a lot of guys did not get because you can't hit balls pretty far at Safeco or T-Mobile Park. Excuse me, sorry, the old name of the stadium was Safeco, but it was hard to get that. But if you look at some of the old home run derbies that you really love to see, the old format was you get 10 outs. So obviously an out is anything that is not a home run, but you get unlimited swings, unlimited time to sit back and wait to hit. And I get it, you're trying to push the new faster pace of baseball, but these guys get worn out. You saw, like Mookie Betts, and there's no way, and I am one of the biggest Mookie Betts fans in the entire world, former Red Sox, but there was no shot in the world that he was going to win that thing. But that man looked so gassed after the first minute 30 when he called his first time out. And it was just like, oh my goodness. And you could see it with like even a Rosarena who made it all the way. You know, he was gassed. Luis Robert got hurt doing it. Like, obviously, that was my pick. Kind of sucks that he didn't win, but I also didn't know that him and Pete Alonso's BP pitchers were throwing absolute dots, painting corners and stuff like that for the guys during the home run derby, but we see that happen every year. I like the old format, though, going back to it. Like, if you go back and watch Josh Hamilton, terrible person Josh Hamilton is, but that's not for this podcast. He had the 28 home runs in one round on unlimited swings. So 38 swings, basically, he hit 28 home runs because he got 10 outs. That's a lot more exciting, honestly, because, you know, with the time, you're just kind of just swinging and like, come on, throw me another one, swing, and you just get tired and you just start ripping things down the line as like ground balls and stuff like that. Nobody wants to see that. Everybody wants to see you be fully ready and put as much power as you can into a swing, like Josh Hamilton did that year, or guys in the past have as well. I like that format better than this one, but Vlad Jr., Vladimir Guerrero's son, ended up winning this year. He should have won a couple years back in Cleveland, I believe it was when him and Pete Alonso had an insane swing off, I guess, in the final round. Same with Jock Peterson was involved in that as well. So Vlad finally got himself one. Julio Rodriguez stole the show in front of the home fans as a member of the Mariners. Had an incredible first round, I believe, against Pete Alonso. The guy that everybody, you know, thinks of when they think of the home run derby currently. He killed it. Adley Rutschman also stole the show. His sister stole the show too, but we don't need to talk about that right now. But he stole the show because he's a switch hitting catcher from the Orioles. Started off the round hitting lefty like I figured he would, and then switched over to righty for his extra time rounds and socked 7 out of his 8 swings as homers. Like, that's impressive. That's really impressive. But I think it was like 27 home runs. He said it was respectable or something like that. And then Luis Robert just comes up there and socks 28 when he goes out. That was my pick to win, obviously. If you don't know, he ended up tweaking his leg or hamstring, I believe, during the second round. As you could probably see why he wasn't really getting as much power into it, ended up losing. I think he would have won if he was able to go because it looked so effortless when he was swinging. And not to mention his BP pitcher was also trying to throw him outside and make him hit the other way. But if you want to talk about BP pitchers, let's look at Julio Rodriguez's BP pitcher because he's just throwing BBs right inside, high and in, perfect. He doesn't take like a full wind up and throw. It's just a quick step throw. That's a perfect BP throw. As a BP thrower myself, that is the perfect type of BP you want if you're trying to send home runs. Now, if you're Pete Alonso's guy or Luis Roberts' guy, that's great BP for a normal round. Hitting the corners, hitting the outsides, making them do situational hitting. But in a home run derby, absolutely awful. But I still feel like it was a successful night for the MLB, except for the fact that I had to watch Mookie Betts sock like 12 home runs in a home run derby round, which is kind of depressing to watch. But, you know, what else do you expect from a guy who has just raw power based on the speed of the ball coming at him, and he's more of a five-tool guy rather than just straight power hitter like the rest of the guys were. And then it leads into the All-Star game the next night. And again, I feel like when looking online, everyone was praising the All-Star game, the production, the broadcast. Obviously, Joe Davis, the Fox play-by-play guy, is one of the best in sports right now. He shows the most enthusiasm, the most passion for it. John Smoltz, questionable at times, but it's only because I feel like he hates the Red Sox because we released him because he posted like a 10.38 ERA with us and we released him. So I think he has a little bit against the Red Sox. So, but outside of that, he's starting to enjoy himself a little bit more, maybe with Joe Davis instead of Joe Buck, just because it's a younger guy doing it. Ken Rosenthal on the sidelines, Kevin Burkhardt, and then obviously A-Rod, Jeter, David Ortiz had that little segment where they were right behind the dugout or right behind the home plate batter circle or whatever. After Lourdes Gurriel hit the home run down the left field line, got reversed as a foul ball. They were all talking about those types of stuff, making fun of it. It was a hilarious segment. But then throughout the game, I think even like normally I'm against miking players up, but I think it's because it's the All-Star game. I really don't care. And this is the one time miking players up mid-game is acceptable, is during the All-Star game, because there was one this year with ESPN mic'd up Tristan Casas, first baseman of the Red Sox. His mother passed away when he was younger, and it was on Mother's Day, and they asked him about his dead mom. And it was like, he's trying to play first base in Sunday Night Baseball right now. Like, why are we asking this type of stuff to him? But like in the All-Star game, it's a little bit lighthearted. There's not really too much pressure. First guy on there was, or the first two on there were Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. They had their back and forth. It was hilarious. We even got to see Nathan Eovaldi, former Red Sox, face off in at bat against JD Martinez, former Red Sox, while he was mic'd up too. Knowing Nate is a super chill and calm guy, he has no problem. He was telling the pitches. He was listing them off, kind of just, giving his insight on where he wants to throw. Josh Hader also had to do that later in the game. That was pretty cool to be able to see him and Ozzy Albies were both mic'd up throughout that inning. The whole experience, in-game interviews, and then the game as itself, it was a very close game, not a high-scoring game, but you had the chance. You came down to your last couple guys, and one of them being the hometown kid. Like, it was worth it. Obviously, Elias Diaz, the catcher from the Colorado Rockies, everyone expected him to win the MVP of this one, obviously. He hit the go-ahead two-run homer in the 7th or 8th, I believe, off of Felix Bautista, who is one of the more feared guys in the MLB, 6'8", throws 102, nasty splitter, just let the splitter hang in, and Diaz crushed it. But I believe that the All-Star weekend or All-Star festivities was a complete success. Next year they're going to Texas. That'll be fun too, because that stadium has balls fly out of it. It's a dome. You don't got to worry about much. A lot of people enjoy traveling to Texas. It's a big city there in Arlington. So I think it'll be just as much of a success next year as it was this year. Like I said, I feel like I just saw a resounding love and support for the All-Star game and the production around it this year, as in comparison to years past, which I think, and I've already seen a lot of people like, maybe I'll tune into a couple more MLB games this year. And like I just mentioned at the start of the show, that we're kind of at this period in time right now where we're not really doing too much within sports at the moment. There's some other things coming up soon, but not much to where people are going to be glued to their TVs every single night trying to find a game or whatnot. So, but the MLB All-Star Weekend was fantastic, and I really enjoyed what we got. And now we're moving on to the second half of the MLB season, which jumps into number 2 on Quick Hits, is the second half of the MLB season. Kind of went over the standings last time we were on the show. Kind of gave an outline. Games start up on Friday night, so tonight whenever this comes out, tomorrow whenever I record. We're in a big playoff push. The trade deadline is August 1st. You're going to see some names getting shopped around. Already seeing some things. Ohtani to the Yankees. If I'm any rival fan, which I am of the Yankees, I'm a rival fan. I will let the Yankees give every player in their farm system for 2 months of Shohei Ohtani, because I can guarantee you with almost my life savings that Ohtani will not sign with the New York Yankees in free agency. He is a West Coast bound guy. As much as I'd love him to be a Red Sox next year, I do not find it as realistic as the Dodgers, the Angels, the Padres, the Mariners. It's just he's known to wanting to have a little bit of an easier trip flying in from the West Coast to Japan if he wants to or needs to. A little bit easier of a travel that way. So I definitely see him doing a West Coast team. If he comes to the East Coast, obviously the Sox are the team I would want him to go to. I just don't see a team wanting to clear out their farm system in order to get a guy for 2 months and maybe not even, win with him. Right? It's just, especially in the Yankees' sake, where their prospects are overrated as hell in the first part just because they're on the Yankees. I get it. The Red Sox have the same thing and still do sometimes with some guys. But I just don't see why a team would want to give up, their entire system for 2 months of a guy when there's a good chance he probably won't even re-sign with the team he gets traded to, unless it's, the Padres, the Dodgers, the Mariners, one of those, 3 teams that I could really see him end up going to here in free agency next year. But then there's other guys on the market like Salvador Perez, who may or may not be on the move. Lucas Giolito from the White Sox. The Cardinals' chief baseball operations said that they're looking at just cleaning house this year and looking forward to 2024. So, maybe guys like Jordan Montgomery or Giovanni Gallegos, Paul DeYoung, some of those guys who are, fringe guys coming up to the end of their contracts that could be potentially moved are definitely on the market for teams that are looking for a starter, a relief guy, some bench depth from, the fielding purposes and hitting wise. This is a fun time for the MLB just because the trade rumors are much more than the trades actually are, but that is every sport as well. The rumors are a lot more exciting than the actual events that are happening. But if you want to watch some baseball, trust me, I'll watch it and I'll pay attention to it a lot just so you guys don't have to. But that's kind of what I like to do at this time of the year, right before football season starts, which we'll get to that in a second. Is just kind of get ready for the point in time right now where we don't really have much going on. But we will have something going on pretty soon, especially on this podcast, because number 3 on Quick Hits is going to be next week. Or last week I told you guys about how we will start up the preview for each conference going until college football season. I did some math. With the amount of podcasts I put out per week, there's no shot I am getting all the conferences in before the football season started on August 26th, 9th, something like that, 20-something, end of August, if I don't start next week. So, starting on Monday, we will be starting the conference preview, I guess, the 2023-24 conference preview for each college football team. So Monday, we will start with the ACC. We're going to kind of go in alphabetical order, which means if you do some math, we're doing the Power 5 first, actually. Doing the Power 5 first, and then we'll get to the other ones a little bit after that because we want to focus on the ones. So it'll probably be ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, SEC. Might do ACC, SEC, and then the rest. Depends on what I'm feeling. I'll figure it out, but I'm starting to do a lot of the stuff. I've already done a lot of things for it, but I want to do some finishing touches, some other guys that have, there's some other rumors of guys who could start, who have won jobs and stuff like that. So I'm going to compile all that, get ready for next Monday because we will break down the ACC conference going into this football season. And there's some good teams, Florida State, Clemson, 2 of the top teams. North Carolina can make some noise. some sleeper teams in there that you'll have to pay attention and hear potentially who can make some noise in that conference as well. But yes, we'll start our college football preview next week. It'll be a lot more entertaining for some of you guys who I know who are big football fans. And, I compile my knowledge with a lot of different things, personal knowledge, reading from other experts, magazines, previews, watching stuff, everything. I do a lot of stuff to get ready for the season so that I know what I'm doing, know what I'm talking about. Am I going to watch every single college football game? No. But I want to make sure that if you guys stumble across some random Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech game on a Friday night, there's nothing else on, you know a little bit about these teams. You know the guys that should matter within these teams. So next week, ACC will start on Monday, and then Friday we'll figure out who we do when the time comes. But that's going to be it for college football. The NFL, I don't really feel like previewing because I feel like college football is a little bit more entertaining and a little bit more easier to touch with the fan base that I have. You guys are a little bit more of college football people than the NFL. So we'll do some college football. NFL we'll touch here and there as we get on closer to the season, where there will be more stuff to talk about when preseason starts and all that. But that's it there. Moving on to number 4 of quick hits, the NBA Summer League. We are at the time where, we've seen Wembanyama play, we've seen Scoot Henderson, we've seen Brandon Miller. I literally just got a notification that said that Brandon Miller is getting shut down for the rest of the Summer League. We're at the point where it's like, all right, who cares what we're watching? Obviously, I care because I am a weirdo, and I will 100% watch some dude from Chicago State put up 20 points against whoever, on a random Thursday night. So I am that kind of weird person. But the NBA Summer League it's been iffy. I don't think once Wembanyama got shut down, I don't think people really cared anymore. You could tell the stadiums or the arenas were not as filled. Granted, Amen Thompson got hurt, Scoot got hurt, Victor got shut down pretty quickly after 2 games. Brandon Miller hasn't performed well. And then there's just no other guys that you really care about watching. All the other sophomores that got shut down. It's just a bunch of G League guys or two-way guys or undrafteds that nobody really cares about watching, but I'll watch, obviously, for ridiculous reasons. I am that weird type of person, but again, it's the weird part where the NBA Summer League doesn't really matter. But the other stuff around the Summer League is what matters. And I kind of told you guys last week that we're kind of at the point now where there's some trade rumors, there's some other stuff going on that could potentially spark fireworks. This is around the time where teams are meeting a little bit more, could potentially, spark up some conversations. We're already seeing some stuff about campaign potentially be shipped off to Indiana in a 3-team deal that hasn't been finalized, hasn't been it's been rumored that TJ McConnell is going to be in that deal to go to Phoenix. Nothing finalized, nothing true yet, but there's a rumor about that. There's rumors about Evan Fournier wanting to be dumped off, but we've known that for a while. Apparently the GM of the Blazers does not care about Dame and does not care if he doesn't go to a new team soon, and they are willing to take their time. Although I think that there's probably a deal in place with Miami. I think it's already finalized. I think they just want to wait a little bit longer and see what they can get out of it. Maybe another team gets involved. A couple more teams gets involved. I don't know. We'll see what goes on there. There was an article in The Athletic today saying that James Harden is expecting to be in a Clipper uniform by the beginning of next season. So everything I said immediately upon it happening and him requesting a trade out, when I said it was going to be the Clippers, is going to be 100% true. So if you want to cite any podcast for being reliable on this type of information, look no further than here, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to some of this stuff. That package, it's going to probably look like Harden and Tobias Harris for Paul George, probably. That's probably what you're going to be looking at. Those two guys for Paul George, and maybe like Robert Covington to go back to the 76ers, maybe Marcus Morris. I don't know. You'd have to find out. But I also, too, expect James Harden to be in a Clipper uniform by the beginning of next season. The smokescreen time period in the NBA is a fun one. It's an interesting one, more likely to say, but it's just kind of what we got going on. It's kind of all we have going on if you're a basketball fan. But no fear, there is some more basketball going on. Going into number 5, the basketball tournament. Now, if you don't know what this is, it is a tournament that is compiled with a bunch of teams of former players, collegiate, high school, even NBA players, WNBA players. It is a bunch of teams that set their name into a pool to win I think it's $1 million prize pool for a team. A lot of teams play for charity. I believe it starts on the 19th of July. If you go to the TBT website, there are like 60 teams in there. Some of them alumni of school. I know Florida has alumni, Kansas, Texas, VCU, Dayton, schools like those. They all have their own alumni and players that are playing in them, so you can go there and look at the rosters. There's a lot of NBA players. The Morris twins, Marcus Morris, just mentioned, and Markieff Morris, are both on the team to play for the Kansas alumni team. So that's interesting. That's weird why they're playing right now when their season's about to start, but not the only time that's ever happened with players. But yeah, if maybe your favorite school has a team. I know Arkansas's got a team. There's a Memphis team. Memphis has got their own basketball team. Like I said, Florida has their own with a bunch of guys that I grew up watching. Some other teams that represent and players that you might know or remember. That's another tournament to watch. I know they play one of their series at Rucker Park, so that's always fun to watch basketball there. There's going to be pro-ams going around where NBA players will hop in and play on the pro-am circuit, kind of like last year when LeBron and DeRozan and Paulo and DeJounte all played in that one game, and Tatum and Chet when he broke his foot. There's all these different pro-ams that are going to happen in basketball. And then slam ball. I don't remember the exact date. It said the late July is going to come back. I don't know what network either, but it's supposed to be coming back here pretty soon. So that's another thing to look out for here in the summer, in the deep parts of the summer where there's not much to really talk about and watch, I guess, at this point. So I appreciate you listening to this stuff to hear me kind of just ramble on about random stuff within sports at this time. So that's kind of it for quick hits. There is literally nothing else to talk about. I think I have drained out everything in sports. Oh, there's soccer. Hang on. We've got soccer. I think USA just played last night. Did I watch it? No. Should I have watched it? Yeah. As a true American, I probably should have watched it, but I didn't. It's okay though. I don't think I was really missing much. I think it was just some like qualifiers or like friendlies. I know the Women's World Cup starts in a couple weeks, I believe. So the Team USA Women's is going to dominate as they always do. My girl Alex Morgan is going to put on for the country as she always does. So that's fun. The American Century Golf Tournament is a celebrity tournament with a bunch of athletes in it at Lake Tahoe. It starts tomorrow. It's always a fun thing to watch the broadcast. I know like Pat McAfee is in it. The Currys are always playing. Mahomes and Kelsey. The ESPYs happen. I guess that's a thing. I forgot about that, but nobody really cares about that at all. Who cares about the ESPYs? Nobody watches that, anyways. I don't really know what else there is to talk about. Honestly, I think that's just kind of it for the sports that are happening currently. But the last thing I kind of want to touch on is something that I've had a lot of fun doing, and I think if you have me on different social medias personally, you would have seen me play these different grid games, and it has taken over the world. Immaculate Grid, Crossover Grid, all these different things. So basically, if you don't know what it is, it's a grid. It's 3 teams on top, 3 teams on the side, tic-tac-toe style board, 3x3 grid, pretty much a grid with 12 spaces, and you got to match up each team with the other teams that are there. It's hard to explain unless you see it. Just look up like an NBA grid or an MLB grid, whatever you want to do the sport of. I know Immaculate Grid is the MLB. Crossover Grid has NBA, NFL, and the NHL. But I've been doing that a lot. I've had a lot of fun with it. You start to dig out some random names that you never thought you'd pull out of the hat ever again. So that's fun to do. That's kind of been my thing I've been doing right now while there hasn't been much else to do. So it's a thing that's daily. You can go on there and do your grids every single morning. It's just like Wordle in the fact that you do one every single day. It's very, very addicting, especially if you're a sports fanatic like myself. It's very addicting. So if you want to see a little bit, maybe me do a couple of those grids on my YouTube channel, just let me know. Like this video on YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, like it. If you want to see me do that. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you're listening to this on, look at the poll in the description or at the bottom of the video. Or the whatever. I don't even know how it looks when I look at it, but say yes or no if you would like to see me or hear me do one of these live on the podcast. You just have to go to YouTube to watch me do it. If you want to see the grid and everything in action, I feel like that'd be something fun to do here right now in these times where, there's not much going on. Maybe I do, I compile like 3 days of me doing it and then post it as a video. Maybe that'd be fun to do. I feel like that's something else that's outside of the podcast you guys would enjoy seeing me do, just because it shows off a little bit of my knowledge for, a random player that played in like 2008 that nobody even remembers. If you saw the one I did on my personal story, I believe yesterday or 2 days ago, I got a guy that only 0.4% of the people who played the game picked that person. So I just know these random things for no reason. It's a lot of fun to take part in. Again, it's Immaculate Grid and Crossover Grid are the two that are the big ones that you want to be a part of. I think there's a Hoop. I think it's called Hoop Grids, just strictly NBA one as well. There's going to be a lot more that come out. You're going to see it trending a lot more. It's a fun thing to take part of and to just kind of play. It's a little meaningless game, but you can have a little competition with yourself to see how much you remember or know. I know I do it a lot and enjoy it. So maybe you guys would want to see that too, but there's really nothing else for me to talk about unless you want to hear me just ramble on about stuff that doesn't matter to this podcast. And, I appreciate you guys always tuning in and listening through the dog days of the summer with no sports. Follow me on all my social medias at Your Sports Digest. I'm on Twitter. Don't really post as much on Twitter. Going to try to. I'm on Instagram. I'll let you know whenever I post a podcast. YouTube. If you're not listening here, you want to look at the video of my logo while the thing goes on. There it is. I don't show my face yet. I'll think about it, but I'm not showing my face yet. So go to YouTube, Your Sports Digest. Go to yoursportsdigest.com if you want to just have an immediate link to everything. I'm going to probably write an article soon regarding to the NFL maybe. So be on the lookout for that. That's a little tease, I guess. Follow my TikTok. I haven't posted on there in a little bit, but I'm going to start trying to do that as well. Follow the threads. If you're not a threads person, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing if you're not on threads right now? It's basically Twitter, but run by Instagram. It's in the development stages, but we're going to get there eventually. We're going to get there. It's an alternative to Twitter. Little less chaotic than what I've seen so far, so I probably just jinxed it. There's going to be a bunch of weird people on threads now, but right now it seems a little bit more calm. I'm probably be active on there saying some random stuff. So if you just enjoy me rambling on about things and want to see some of the dumb stuff I say on threads, follow me on there at Your Sports Digest. It's a fun time on all my social medias. When I do post, I do make some fun stuff and some fun content. So follow me on all those there. I appreciate you all listening. Again, remember on Monday, I will be starting my ACC college football preview for next season. Hope you guys will enjoy that. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Enjoy whatever's on TV, whatever you end up watching, whatever you guys travel to do. Hope it's all fun and safe. But I'll be back with you guys after the weekend on Monday. I'm Alex McNinch, and you just got your Sports Digest.